Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to replace the charge port on this Lenovo Legion Y545. So first thing we're going to do is remove all the screws from the bottom. You do want to keep them in order because they can be different size, shape, and length. So let's remove the two screws up here. Alright, the way I keep them in order is I just put them like this on my desk in the order I take them out. Alright, or sorry, not the order, but the pattern I take them out. So that way I can keep track of it. So you can see there's two screws here. Alright, this screw's a little bit stuck. There we go. Alright, and then there's 4 screws along here. So I just keep this pattern going, so 2. And then I'll take these 4 out. And basically we'll just put them in that layout along my desk. Alright. Alright, it's very important. If you mix up the screws, you can actually damage the computer. So far the screws look to be the same, but it's always a good idea to keep them in order just to be safe. Alright. Alright, then we got 3 along here, so we're going to take those 3 out. Okay, this screw's much shorter. I don't know if customers mess with the computer and mix things around, so it's always a good idea to keep yours in order instead of going based on what I have. But so far, all the screws seem to be long except for the 2 on these sides here. I'm going to guess that these 4 down here are short as well. Yep. Alright, come on. This screw is stuck in here. Might have to use a magnet to remove that screw. Go ahead and get the last one. Yep, this one doesn't seem to want to come out, so let's get a magnet. There we go. Alright, so we got all the screws out. Now what we're going to do is turn the computer over. Let's open it up. Alright, and what you want to do is along this seam here, alright, so between the trackpad and this, you can get your fingernail or a pry tool in there, okay? And then what I do is I get my fingernails in there and I use my thumb on the back to push on it. Alright, so just like this. Alright, and this is how I release the clips, just like this. Okay? Alright, so just like that. Then I'm going to close this. We're going to go around to the side here and we're just going to continue doing the same thing. Going between that gap and then using my thumbs to push on the back to release the clips. There we go. Same thing over here. Get my fingernails in there and then push with my thumbs. Let's see here. Am I getting in? Yep. Alright. There we go. Once you get all the clips around these sides and the front, this back part should come out. So just lift this up like that and then slide it forward. And there we go. So this is pretty dusty, so I will clean that out. There's a lot of thermal paste stuff that needs, if I were to redo the heatsink, so I'm going to leave the heatsink in place. But anyways, I'm going to clean the dust out of the fans and I will be back. Alright, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, I'm back. So I cleaned out the fans, as you can see. Put my key away. Alright, we'll set the cover aside. Okay, so now we're going to have to take the main board out. So we're going to have to see under here and undo all the things holding it in place. If you're wondering, there's a 2.5-inch SATA hard drive. There's also an M.2 SSD here. I'm not sure if it's PCIe or if it's just a M.2 SATA. But first thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery just to be safe. If you're just replacing the hard drive, SSD, or RAM, you don't need to do this. But if you want to be safe, it's a good idea to remove it. Alright, so let's go ahead and remove the battery first. Okay. Let's zoom in. So the battery model number, if there is one, is L17M3PG2. Alright. Okay, so let's remove the battery screws. Again, you want to keep them in order because they can be different size, shape, and lengths. Right, 1 screw there. Got 1 screw over here. Okay, then we got 1 screw down here. Alright, 2, that. And then we got 1 screw over here. And 1 more screw right here. Okay. Alright, once we got all those screws out, we should be able to lift the battery up. I just go underneath one of these little pieces and lift it up. I'm going to hold the speaker down so it doesn't move around. There we go. And then we got the the battery connector under here. So to remove that, we're gonna have to kind of wiggle this whole thing. So let me see if I can kind of show this. I'm gonna try and pull this adhesive thing out of the way. Okay, just like that. All right, so to remove it, what I do is I try and get as close to the connector as possible. Let's see here, and then I kind of just wiggle it side to side as I kind of pull a little. Okay, just lightly. You don't want to pull too hard. And I'm using my finger to pull the cable. All right, I'm not actually using the cable to like yank it out. I'm using my finger to pull this connector. All right, and once you kind of get it wiggling a bit, all right, so let me use my other finger. There we go. There we go, and it pops out pretty easily. So you're essentially just wiggling this thing side to side. Okay, and there you go. We got the battery out. So we'll set the battery aside now. Alright, if you're wondering about the RAM and the SSD, I'm going to pull those out just because I have to take them out to change out the charge port. So the hard drive is held in with 4 screws here. Oh, one thing, after removing the battery, what you want to do, open up the computer and then press and hold the power button for about 10 to 15 seconds, alright? That will help drain any power that's left on the motherboard to reduce the risk of damage, alright? So just hold this about 10-15 seconds. Okay. All right, once you're done with that, just close it up, and we're gonna go ahead and start removing stuff. All right, so the hard drive is held in place with 4 screws here, so we're gonna remove those 4 screws. I'm gonna try and show how to replace the charge port. This one is soldered in place, so it's a bit more difficult. All right. So anyways, remove the 4 screws for the 2.5-inch SATA hard drive. You can upgrade that to a 2.5-inch SATA SSD. And if you want, you can also upgrade this M.2 SSD. You can use a longer one. I don't know why they use these half-sized ones. But anyways, to remove the hard drive connector, just flip this little latch up. All right, just like that. Once you get that latch up, you can grab the connector and you can pull it out. Just like that. Be careful not to damage this connector. Right, then we can go ahead and lift the hard drive up. So it comes in this little hard drive caddy. If you're replacing the hard drive, make sure you transfer this over. There's 4 screws holding it in place. All right, we'll set that hard drive aside. Then we're going to go ahead and remove the M.2 SSD. So there's 1 screw. Be careful not to get this blue thing dirty because that is a heat or a thermal pad. It helps transfer the heat. Alright, so lift this up slightly. Once you get it up slightly at an angle, you can just wiggle and pull it back. So there we go. Alright, again, keep the screw together with it. I'm going to see if I can lift this blue pad off just to see what type of SSD it is. The connector makes me think it's SATA, but it could be PCIe. Let's see. Okay, it is a PCI NVMe, so it actually shows on there NVMe SSD. And this is a Western Digital PCIe, let's see, 512 gigs. So you can either use this bracket. If you want to use a longer SSD, you do have to take this whole pad completely off, or not completely, but you can see the screw there. You can take that screw out. If you want to use the heat pad, you will transfer it over, and then you can take the screw and put the SSD, the full-sized SSD here, okay? So we're going to set that aside. Alright, so then we got the keyboard connector here. To remove that, same thing, flip up this latch, and then you can kind of get this connector out. You want to be careful. You have to lift it slightly because these blue tabs get caught. There's like these little white parts that are raised slightly to help keep it in place. So it kind of helps to use something that you can kind of thread through here. Let's see if we can do this. And then kind of lift it as you pull it back. There we go. Alright, set that back. Alright, then you got the BIOS or the CMOS battery here. To remove that, you just use your fingernails or some tweezers or something, and you kind of just wiggle this connector. Alright, and if you keep wiggling it, eventually it will pop out just like that. Okay, then the RAM here is underneath this metal cover. So I just get my fingernails underneath this metal cover and pop it up. Okay, just like this. You might have to hold the motherboard down as you do this because it's kind of, these clips are a little bit tough, right? Just get underneath and pop it up. There we go. All right, and then because of all this adhesive stuff, it might be a little tricky to remove. There are clips under on this side as well, so we can lift that up. All right, There we go, and then we can kind of rotate this over and move it aside. So here there's 2 sticks of RAM. You just pull these 2 metal tabs over to the side and the RAM will pop up like this. So this is 8 gig PC4 2666V. So you can put any size RAM you want as long as it's PC4 2666V. You shouldn't have any issues. All right, you can put 2 16 gigs, you can put 2 32 gigs if you want. But yeah, usually most people won't need more than that. If your computer doesn't turn on, you might want to check the RAM. A lot of times after reassembling, people don't reseat the RAM properly. So you want to make sure, have it at an angle, push it all the way in, and then clip it down. All right, so I don't see any screws underneath this, so I am going to just flip this metal cover back over and put it back into place. All right, just like that. And we're gonna leave that there. Okay, so all the upgrade stuff is completed, so if you wanna see how to completely disassemble the computer, you can continue watching. So that's what we're going to be doing. All right, so right now I'm going to disconnect this. So there's a cable that goes underneath the motherboard for this USB board and this little LED indicator light. We're just gonna flip this latch up. All right, once we do that, we can pull this connector out. It is held in place with an adhesive here, so it might be a little tricky to get this cable removed to get the motherboard out. Keep that in mind. All right, we got the fan connector here. We'll see if we have to remove that. And it looks like the touchpad connects underneath the motherboard as well. So we're going to disconnect the cable here. So flip this latch up. All right. And then we can kind of grab this little blue tab and pull that back. There we go. All right. So here we got the, oops, I can't show it because there's too much stuff in the way. Let's try and move this over. There we go. So underneath this thermal tape or Kapton tape, we have the wireless antennas as well as the speaker connector. So I'm going to try and peel this up. All right, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to remove the wireless antennas. To remove those, just grab close to the tail and pull straight up. Okay, just like that. Same thing with the other one. So keep in mind, the gray wire goes to the white auxiliary, and then the black wire goes to the black main label on there. Right, so grab the tails of that one and pull that up as well. Sorry, the other one's getting in my way. There we go. All right, now we're gonna undo this screw and set the wireless card aside. So the wireless card comes out just like the M.2 SSD and the RAM. It pops up slightly at an angle like this. All right, and then you just grab it and just wiggle to pull it back. All right, and we'll set that aside. Okay, then you got the speaker connectors here. All right, so speaker connector comes out like the CMOS or BIOS battery. You just grab that and you kind of just wiggle the connector. All right, they also call the BIOS battery the RTC or real-time clock battery. All right, so just keep wiggling this. It will feel like it's not really moving, but don't worry, you just got to keep wiggling it. It's kind of takes a while, it's a little bit tough. All right, keep this out of my way. Okay, keep wiggling it, keep wiggling it. Alright, actually this one's tougher than it should be. I might have to use both my thumbnails to do this. Alright, so I'm gonna hold that out of the way, use both my thumbs, and use that to wiggle it like this. Okay, and keep wiggling, and there you go, it eventually pops out. Alright, so now we're going to remove the screws. There's one screw down here, and there's a little arrow pointing to show where to put the screw back. So if there aren't any arrows, I will use some marker to label where I pulled it out from, but for now there's a little arrow there, so I don't need to do that. All right, we got another screw down here next to the keyboard connector, so I'm gonna have to keep track. There's a lot of screws here. Okay, so they did also put an arrow on this one. Let's see if they're hiding any screws under here. Doesn't look like it. All right, let's remove the fan screws. So there's 2 fan screws that I see. One here. All right, and one up in this corner. There we go. All right, and let's see, it's still holding strong in there, so something else is holding it down. If you're wondering, the speakers, that cable we disconnected, the other speaker connects to here. All right, so they're both connected in one spot. Okay, Let's see, let's remove the fan screws from this one as well. There's a lot of screws, so this might be a little tricky to remember. Okay. So try and keep all the screws in order. Might be a little tricky here, but we'll see what we can do. I'm getting a phone call right now. It says anonymous, so I kind of don't want to answer it. All right, then we got another screw over here. All right, I'm gonna take a marker because they covered that with foil. Give me a second, I guess I'll answer this call. Okay, they just hung up. Anyways, we're gonna remove this one screw here that's underneath this black plastic piece on top of this foil. Okay, so there's 2 screws here. All right, and then don't forget this screw holding the fan as well. All right, so we've got those 3 out. Again, I'm going to mark this silver thing with the blue marker just because they didn't mark it with an arrow, or it might be marked, but it might be under that foil. Okay, so let's see. This part is lifting up. This part is lifting up. There's still something kind of holding this board down. There's a Lenovo warranty sticker here, so there's likely a screw under there. I'm gonna try and lift it up. Let's see here. Let's try and lift the foil around it up first. I mean, the foil's coming up, so I don't think there's a screw there. It's kind of weird. Is there? Oh yeah, there is. Okay, so there's a screw underneath there, so we're gonna have to remove that one as well. Looks like we're gonna have to destroy this warranty sticker if there's a hole in there. Okay, well, that sticker's already damaged. There we go. So here you can see underneath there is that. All right, so we'll remove this screw as well. Oh, so many things going on at once. All right. Take out this screw. So this foil looks like it wasn't really even on top of that screw. It's kind of just blocking that. Okay, so we got that. Let me see. I'm gonna have to try and keep track of all these screws. 1, 2. There's the center one up here. Okay, so we'll mark this as well. Get a marker and we'll just draw a line there. Okay, let's see what else is holding this down. Still feels like it's being held down by something somewhere closer in the middle. It could be just this adhesive here, so let's go ahead and try and peel this thing up. I'm going to use this tool to slide underneath and try and get that out. The fan is in the way, so it's going to make it difficult. Yep, that's going to be tough. Let's see here. I'm going to try and slowly peel this. You don't want to crease this cable too much. You want to just peel it slowly. Okay. There we go. Alright, so we got that cable up. Let's see if we can lift the whole board. It feels like something is still holding it down. I do see some screws over here, so we probably have to pop this whole bar off. Let's see here. I don't know if this piece will come out or not. Okay, let's see, because there were 2 screws here that we took out, and underneath here there's some screws here that I think is holding down the main board. So now that we got those screws out, let me see if I can see from the other side. Let's try and open this up. I want to open it up slowly and carefully. Okay, so there are some clips here, it looks like, so we might have to pop this up and pull the back panel off. So let's see, I don't want to knock the screws around, so let's see if we can somehow pull this piece off. Might have to pry around here. I don't know, this seems tricky. It doesn't want to move, so I might not be able to get this out. Let's see, is there anything else? Let's try and lift this up and see if there's anything else under here we missed. I don't see anything. These are all for the heatsink. Those shouldn't need to be removed. And this is lifting up. Yeah, it looks like these two screws are the ones holding it in place. So I don't know how we'll remove the motherboard. Let me see. I can try and move this. Okay, I can pull this back a little bit. And we can undo this screw. Okay. The only problem with removing that, can I remove this one as well? I can. Okay, so we got both those screws out. I don't know if I'll be able to put them back without taking off this bezel. But let's see if the whole thing will come out or if it's still stuck. Still seems stuck pretty much. Okay, so we do have to figure out a way to remove this bezel, it seems. Okay, let's see here. Let's flip this over. I'm gonna try and move these screws out of the way. Okay, so what I'm gonna try and do is I'm gonna try and pull this back here. I don't know, it doesn't want to move. This one, come on. Wow, this thing is holding on really strong, so I'm not too sure. It seems like it's supposed to come out first, but it doesn't want to. Am I missing some other screws under there? It does feel like this should come out. I do see the metal piece moving with it, so that's kind of weird. Are there any screws I'm missing here? I don't know. This piece seems like it should slide off or pop off, but it doesn't want to. I might have to use my metal pry tool. Let's see here. Let's get this tool in here and see if we can get between this gap here and somehow pop this out. It doesn't seem to want to move at all. This piece doesn't want to move at all, so I don't know. If I can't remove this, oh, there we go. If I can't remove this, then we won't be able to do the repair, so we have to. Come on. I've only felt one clip so far, so I don't know. This doesn't seem to want to pop off. Yeah, I don't know. This doesn't seem to want to pop out. I don't know how I'm going to do this. So I'm trying to twist this over, but it doesn't seem to want to come out. What if I rotate it the other direction? Sorry, my head's getting in the way. So this whole bar runs along back here. Let's see if we can pop this out and towards the center, maybe. None of this wants to come out. It's kind of coming up, but not. I don't feel any clicks or anything, so it's kind of strange. Definitely feels like this should come out. Okay, I'm not too sure how I'm going to do this if I can't remove that. Let's see. We got those two. The screw was holding that down there. I don't know. It's holding this really strong. Let's see. Can I somehow lift this up? It doesn't look like this wants to move. And the fans are attached here, so there's no way I can lift this whole thing up unless something here comes out. Am I going to have to just use a lot more force, or what's going on here? See a cable running along underneath here. This thing has to come out, but it doesn't want to. Alright, let's see here. This goes along there. I don't know if anyone has opened this before, but I'm having a very tough time getting this out, so I'm not too sure. And if that's the case, I can't repair their charge port. So this whole piece, along with these metal brackets, are moving. Which, I don't know if that's... okay, yeah, those brackets aren't attached to that. Okay, I'm probably gonna have to just use a lot more force. So let's see here. If I break it, I'm gonna have to buy him a new one, but let's see. Let's get this tool under here. Okay, nope, nothing. Can only get underneath this one piece here. It doesn't slide anywhere. I'm not sure, guys. This one doesn't want to seem to move. And I don't want to try prying the other way because it can damage the screen, so... I don't see any other parts that I can pry out. Do I just have to use more force and push it out, or what's going on here? Okay, this metal bracket definitely isn't holding anything down. So it's all because of this, and I can't get this out, so I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do here, guys. This one doesn't want to come out at all. I don't see any other way. Removing this heatsink won't do anything because the fan is trapping it down. Or possibly if I remove this, can I pull that back? I don't know. I mean, the screws that we're holding in here are definitely under there. So, I don't think undoing the heat sinks will help me pull this out. Definitely feels like this needs to pop off, but it doesn't want to come out, so I'm not too sure what I will do. I'm gonna have to look around online and see if this piece is removable or not. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna try popping this out a little bit more, but if it doesn't come out, then I don't know how I will do this repair. Yep, I don't know. It doesn't want to move at all. These won't pop out. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into this and we'll see. Alright, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, so I looked into it and it turns out that Lenovo decided to be a butthole and hid screws underneath, all underneath the heatsink. So we're gonna have to actually remove this, even though we didn't need to redo the thermal paste, but now we're gonna have to be forced to redo the thermal paste. So we got screw number 5 here. Let's see here. We got number 2 here. Shoot, I think this is number 1. There's no number there. That's number 7. 2. Where's number 1? There's a 5. No, there's a 7 up here. There's a 4 there. And these numbers don't make sense. So whatever, I'm just gonna take them all out and I'm just gonna do them across each other to get everything evenly pressed down when I actually go to put it back together. Alright, so let's undo all these screws. So there's 4 in a pattern on this side And then it looks like we got another one over here. And another one here. And I think there's one under here. Yep. Alright, so we got all those screws out. Hopefully that's all of them. So this is going to be a pain. I'm going to try and, let's just peel this off. I'm going to actually lift the RAM cover back off, and we're going to leave that out for now, just so we can have this plastic cover out of the way. Okay, there we go. I'm going to leave that attached to this piece, and we'll just set that aside. Alright, so we got the 3 screws here for the CPU, and then the 4 here for the GPU, and now we should be able to lift it. If you can't lift this, you kind of want to twist it a little bit, because if you just pull straight up and it's stuck really hard down, you can actually rip the CPU or GPU connections out from the board. Alright, we're going to have to undo the fan connectors here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Alright, just like the other ones, you just pinch them and you just wiggle it as you pull. Just keep wiggling, wiggling, and eventually it will come out. Sorry, don't wiggle the camera, just wiggle the connector. Alright, just like that. And you want to use the wings of the connector here, okay? So just like this, keep wiggling it. And eventually it will pop out, just like that, okay? Same thing with this one, just get the wings. Oops, sorry. Alright, this one you have to lift up. So I use my fingers so that way I can push my knuckles down on the board while I do this, okay? So same thing, just keep wiggling this. Wiggling, wiggling. Okay. And you want to keep some pressure down because you don't want to rip the board out from here. Alright, so we got all of those out. Now we can slowly lift this up. Let me zoom out. Okay, just like this. Alright. So we're going to lift. I'm going to lift from the fans here. If it's stuck, again, you don't want to try and pull too hard. You can try and lift from these more solid connection areas here. Alright, and once you lift this slightly at an angle, we should be able to pull it back to ourselves. Let's see. Come on. Wow, even this is stuck in there. What is going on? Okay, how far do we need to lift this up? Let's lift this and pull, okay. Pull towards ourselves. There we go. And here we go. It's coming out. There we go. There. Now we got the motherboard out. Luckily, the GPU is using all thermal pads, so I'm just going to redo the thermal paste on the GPU and CPU here. So to get this stuff out, I hold this over a trash can and I just scrape this stuff out using a plastic scraping tool, and then I use a paper towel to clean it out. So I'm going to do that off camera. And then I'll clean this one as well. Same thing, holding the thing over the trash can upside down. But I might just take the motherboard out first. So I'm going to do this first and I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. So I decided to just scrape it all off into the trash can while it was still in the chassis. Alright, so now what we're going to do, we're going to use the paper towel, wipe off any excess here. Okay, just like this. The outside was pretty dried up, but the parts that were on the actual dies seem to be okay, but basically just wipe this all off. Okay, just like that. Just wipe it as well as you can. It looks pretty clean. Same thing with the heatsink. All right, you want to be careful not to touch the green stuff and get dust all over it, so just clean around the copper parts here. Okay, just like that. Alright, so now that we got that, be careful not to drop the heatsink on the motherboard. We're going to get another piece, paper towel, just wrap it up. We got some isopropyl alcohol, okay. Okay, just pour it on. Get this a little bit wet, but not too crazy. Alright, then we use that to clean the die, just like this, okay. And then you can dry it off. There's still some crusty stuff stuck there, so I might have to clean that up as well and then flip it back over. So let's see. As you can see, this stuff just scrapes out. It's like hardened. So it's not supposed to be hardened like that. It should be like a paste. So when it's hardened like that, it's actually not heating very well. Okay, so we're gonna grab that. We're gonna have to clean that again. Get all this hardened stuff out. Sorry, my head's getting in the way. There we go. Right, you don't have to get it all out completely, but I try and get out as much as I can, just so I can put back the better stuff, the new thermal paste. Okay, there we go. All right, that's probably good enough. Let's go back to the one that we wet with the isopropyl alcohol. Clean it up again. You want to be careful not to put too much pressure on here and accidentally damage the video card. Okay, try that off. Clean that, try that off. All right, now we're gonna do the same thing with the heatsink here. Just clean that off with the isopropyl rubbing alcohol. You can see it's turning a lot more shiny and copper. All right, same thing. Now that this is all contaminated, I'm gonna flip it over. Use the clean side. Same thing, just clean it up. There we go. You can use the dry side, dry it off. And there we go. So we got the heatsink all cleaned up. This we're gonna have to clean again later anyways, because once we do the thermal pad, or not the thermal pads, once we redo the charge port, we're probably it's gonna get dirty a little bit. So, all right. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and remove these screws under here that I was talking about. So if you look closely, there's a bunch of screws going along here. These screws are the ones that are screwing us up. Okay, so there's these two screws here that we might not have even needed to remove, but we're gonna definitely have to remove these. So let's go ahead and remove that. 1, 2, okay, 3. I don't know if we have to remove these, but I'm gonna remove them anyways. These are kind of slightly sideways underneath, so I don't know about those. Remove that. 3. If it still won't come out, then we'll go ahead and remove the other screws. 4. I'm kind of hoping I won't have to remove the ones back there, because those are at a weird angle, so it's going to be kind of strange, right? We'll remove the 4 on this side as well. There's 1 black screw, and then the other 3 are silver. Again, keep them in order because they are different size, shapes, and lengths. You don't want to get things mixed up and damage your computer. Okay, there, and this one. All right, so we got all of that out. Now let's see if this will come out or if we have to remove some more screws. Okay, so we got 8 screws out from underneath, and yeah, it's coming out now. So, oh my god. Okay, so we only had to remove, it looks like, the 3 from this side and the 3 from this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and put back the black screws that were here holding whatever this metal thing. I think that's actually the hinge, the screen hinge. So we're gonna put that screw back in. Actually, wait a minute. Okay, so we did have to remove the black screw, but we didn't have to remove this one. Okay, so the silver screw that's into this hinge we didn't need to remove, and the same with the other side. And because of that, I'm actually going to add some thread locker on this. I'm going to use red thread locker because I don't want the hinge screws to come loose. If the hinge screws come loose, that can cause some damage later on. So I always like to make sure that the hinge screws are good. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna add some red thread locker to that. Alright, just a little bit. I'm gonna put it back here. Again, we did have to remove the black screw, so keep that in mind. There's 1 screw there that we had to remove, but this screw we didn't. Okay, so I'm gonna add some thread locker to that. There's some dust under there, clean that off. Alright. Same thing, add a little thread locker to that, put that screw back in. Okay, but we did definitely have to remove the 2 silver screws here and then the 1 black screw there. Okay, so that's good. Now we figured out what's going on. Let's lift this board out. Again, make sure to be careful with this. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see everything, hopefully. We do have to peel this back up. Okay, be careful with this cable. Peel it slowly. There we go. And then we can slowly lift this up. Make sure you're not getting any cables caught or trapped and then ripping them out. So you want to go slowly and carefully. Okay, put the antennas underneath there. And we're gonna, we almost forgot, there's the LCD or LVDS connector. Flip this up. Again, hopefully you did what I recommended in the beginning, pressing and holding the power button, because if you remove this cable without doing that, you can actually damage the computer. All right, so we got that. I feel like there's something else holding it down. It might just be this, so we'll set that aside now. And there we go. What else is holding this down? There's one more cable underneath here, and that's the keyboard backlight connector. So we're gonna flip this and then pull that out. All right. I'm actually going to go ahead and put the trackpad cable back over there. So I'm going to flip this latch, pull this cable out, and we're going to actually put the trackpad cable back here. All right, so let's put the trackpad cable in here, and then we can actually plug in the keyboard backlight connector and the trackpad connector at the same time when we go to put this back together. Make sure to get this lined up properly, and then flip that little latch back over, just like that. All right, there we go. Now we're gonna set this aside. So we're gonna be removing this piece, which it looks like it's gonna be somewhat of a pain. Let me see, where did I throw that extra connector? Okay, let me pause this. I'm gonna find the connector and I'll be back. All right, so I'm back. So here you can see the connector. So this connector, it connects on these two spots, and then it has these 5 pins back here. So those 5 pins are gonna have to go into this. So it's gonna be tough. We're gonna have to heat this whole thing and then lift it out. I'm gonna use a hot air station to make it easier. But if you don't have a hot air station, it's gonna be a real big pain trying to get this thing out. Okay, so here we can see there's all of these components here that you want to be careful. So with the hot air station, I'm going to be heating from this side, and basically I'll add some pressure. I'll be holding this up, so that way as I heat this, it'll just fall down. Okay, and then you want to be careful with these as well. All right, so we're going to set this whole thing aside now. All right, I'm going to use one of these. Hopefully this will won't melt when I try and heat this. Basically, I'm going to hold this up and I'm going to heat this part. I'm going to hold this with like some pliers, heat it, and then as it heats, it'll just fall down. That's the plan. All right, we'll set this aside and this piece as well. Okay, and let me get the hot air station set up and I will be back. All right, I'm back. So I got the hot air station. I'm going to turn it on and let it heat up. So we got this here. I'm going to set the heat to the max level. All right, and set the air to the lowest level. And what I'm going to do, let's see if I can hold this here. Gotta be careful. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these pliers here just to hold this up. Right, just like this. And while I'm holding this up, I'm going to heat the area around here. And as it gets hot enough, it should just drop out. So I need to be careful. I'm going to hold this higher. I can actually feel the heat on my hand, so I'm going to have to move over a little more. And I have to be careful with this. There's lots of stuff I need to watch for here with this kind of thing. Alright, we'll hold this on like that. Okay. And we're going to heat around this area. You kind of want to heat further than just the charge port itself, so that way it can heat a little bit evenly, not just have all the heat in one spot. And once it's kind of warm, you also want to be careful for these plastic connectors here. Then we're going to try and aim all the heat here once you get everything else slightly warm. Oops. So that's going to be a little dangerous. I might have to put something under so it doesn't heat up the entire area. So let's see here. I'm going to try and grab this. Okay. Heat that up. Alright, and then we're just going to focus on those main areas. I might have to put some cardboard down there, so we'll pick it back up real quick. Actually, let me get some cardboard. What can I put under there? I need to get like a cardboard box, I think. Yeah, we'll just do this because, well, yeah, I'm gonna need a cardboard box because if this drops and it's really hot, it's gonna melt through. So let me do that real quick and I'll be back. Alright, so this should work. I just put some paper underneath so that way when it drops it won't be too hot and melt the phone. Alright, so I'm gonna again hold this down. I'm gonna go ahead and keep heat. Oh man, my hand is trapped under. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this back up, grab that, hold on to it tight, and we're gonna heat this again. Okay, let's go ahead and focus on this. This way, the moment the thermal paste is hot, or not the thermal paste, the solder is hot enough, it will just fall through. So the plastic right now is kind of melting. You can see it turning darker. Hopefully it won't melt through and I can keep grabbing this. Uh-oh. The plastic is melting. I don't want it to melt. I want to keep grabbing it so I can have this drop through. Come on, don't melt plastic. I need you. I'm gonna keep heating this. There we go. Half of it's up. Come on, other side. Uh-oh. It's just melting the plastic. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So we got the heat sink, or sorry, the DC jack out. We're going to turn this off. Let it cool down. Alright. Careful with that. I'm going to let this thing air up, cool down a little bit. Alright, so now we got the DC jack out. That was the hard part. We'll let this cool, and then what we're gonna have to do is add some thermal paste and then suction that through. Okay, so we're gonna check the other side, make sure all the components look okay. Alright, the board is hot, so be careful. Okay, everything looks okay here. Alright, we don't have any missing little components, everything looks good. Okay. Yeah, it's too bad this plastic can't handle the heat, because otherwise you could actually keep the heat on it while you pull, while you put the new socket in, but since the plastic can't handle it, you have to actually take it out. So the thing is cooling down right now. Once it's finished cooling down, I will set it aside. And yeah, so here you can see this. I'm going to try and zoom in and show this when I work on it. So hopefully you'll be able to see the process of removing the solder from here. I'm probably going to use like a cardboard box to prop it up, so that way I can use the suction on it to pull it out while I'm working on it. Okay, so this looks pretty good. Alright, let's see here. So I'm going to try and heat from the other side actually. I'll heat from this side and then use the suction on the other side, because this side there's too many little components next to it. Okay, so we're done with that. Here you can see the melted one. It's still pretty hot. There we go. Alright, set that aside. We'll get the replacement one. Let me clean up and I will be back. Alright, so I'm back. So I got this to suck the solder out. Okay, it's a solder sucker. More soldering, sorry, some more solder. Okay, and then we got some flux, so that will help remove and reseat the soldering iron, or sorry, reseat. Oh, I always forget the word, sorry. It'll help make the solder flow better. Okay, so first I'm going to use the sponge thing here to clean off the soldering iron. Sorry, it's out of view. I can't get a good place to hold this. So what I'm going to do first, I found that the best way to get the solder out is you get some flux on there. Okay, just get a little bit. Hopefully I'll be able to show this whole process here for you guys. Alright, I am keeping my knee on my metal desk to keep myself grounded, just in case anyone's wondering. Okay, get a little flux on there, get a little flux in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I should get like the liquidy kind of solder or flux, because that would make this easier. So what we do, now that we got the flux there, we're gonna melt it. All right. Okay, melt this one as well, and that attaches to the copper and it helps pull the solder out. It helps the solder flow. So I'm gonna melt this. If it doesn't melt, then so I'll try and suck that through, and then we'll pull that out. So usually once you do that, you can actually heat this and you can add the solder a lot easier. So if I were to add solder here, so here you can see it flows in really easily. And now if I heat it, I can suck this out really nice. Okay, so let's heat this up and then pull it through. So there we go. It pulled the solder nicely through the hole. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. We can add some solder there while we're heating it. Okay, I need to have something holding the board so it doesn't fall over. Okay. All right, let's do this. Okay, so we're gonna heat that up and then add some solder there. There we go. All right, so now we'll heat the solder up and we will just pull it through, just like that. Oops, it didn't all go through, so we're gonna have to add some more solder and do it again. Okay. Go. Heat solder up, same thing, get underneath, melt it, make sure it's completely melted, and pull it through. There we go. Looks like it's all pulled through. There's still a tiny bit, so let's try and get that out. Okay, we might have to add more solder again. All right, let's try one more time. Okay, and if it won't all come out, we might have to heat this while we push the charge port through, which is a little bit tricky. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing with all the 4 or 5 pins back there. Okay, we'll just get some of this flux. Okay, and we're gonna try and melt it in there. All right, get it in there. I need a little bit more. Okay, so we got that in. I'm gonna add some solder to this pins here. All right. These might be tough because these pins are super small, but we're gonna do what we can. Get the solder sucker underneath, heat it up. Right, and pull it through. That didn't work. Let's heat it up again. This one's having a tough time being pulled through. If it doesn't work, might have to check. We might have to check on the other side as well, because it doesn't seem to want to go through here. Okay, so that side doesn't want to go through. I'm going to try and do the other 4 pins. Alright, let's try and pull the solder through these. worked a little bit. There's still some in there. I don't know if we'll be able to get all of it out. These holes are super small. Let's try adding a little more solder. Alright, let's try it again. Okay, that one's actually kind of working. I might have to heat it while I pull them through because these don't seem to want to let all the solder flow. Okay, this one. Okay. It partially works and then it reseals because the hole is so small. There we go, that worked. Okay. This one. Oh, what is that? Get that. What did I suction into there? Okay, let's try it again. That one doesn't want to come out either. Man, a lot of these pins don't seem to want to come out, so this is going to be a tough one. Let's see what we're going to have to do. Let's get some more solder here. Alright. Heat it up again. Okay, that one's kind of working. Should be good. Let's heat it up some more. All right, last one. This one doesn't want to melt through. There we go. Okay, this one's being kind of a pain. Hopefully it's gonna be able to pull the solder through. Okay, it looks like it's suctioned a little bit. Okay, I think that's good. All right, let's set this aside. Let's check the charger port and see if we can fit this through. Okay, I'm gonna take a close look. I'm gonna pause and I'll be back. Okay, the other side doesn't look too good, so I flipped it over. I'm gonna heat this up and try and get the solder away from these little holes here. Okay, this side's pretty cleared up. This side is pretty bad, so I'm gonna probably have to add some flux here and solder and try and pull it out. This side doesn't want to come out at all. Okay, let's get some flux. Put that on there. Let's try and add a little solder to it. See if I can pull it through from this side. This one seems like it's going to be a pain. Yep, I don't think that's going to work. Let's see. I'll try again. Yeah, I don't think that's going to pull through. Yep, that's not going anywhere. So I'm likely going to have to heat this one and then push the charge port through while I'm doing this. Oh, it went a tiny bit. There we go. It's getting better. Okay, let's add a little more solder to that. And let's try again. Man, this one's being kind of a pain. Wow, that doesn't want to come out at all. All right, let's flip this over again. And I'll try doing it, heating it from the other side. Okay. There's stuff stuck to it. Let me clean off the soldering iron. Okay. Yep, that doesn't want to come out. I'm probably going to have to heat it while I push the charge port through. It doesn't want to stay melted on this one. Yep, alright. Let's go ahead and find which way to seat this back on there. Okay, I believe it was going this way. So let me take a look. Oops, that's the broken one. I don't want to put the melted one back on there. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and try and push this through here. Okay, let's see. Are they all going to go in? Okay, it looks like there's several parts that still need the solder to be pushed through. So I'm going to keep trying a little bit more. Center one is stuck. And then the two outer. This is going to be tough. I don't know. It doesn't want to come through. I can try using the solder wick, but doesn't seem to want to work, so let's try one more time with this. That kind of worked. I'm getting another call. All right. Let's see here if we can heat this and pull it through now. Got this, all the pins are going up this direction. Okay. So I'm going to try and heat this and then push these through. So this one is kind of crooked, so what I'm going to do, I'll add some solder there, and then we're going to try and push that through. Okay. Let's clean this up. Alright, let's get the solder on there. Okay. Get the solder in there, and then heat it while we push it through. There we go, looks like it's good. Do the same with the other side here. Hopefully you were able to see that. I don't know if you were. So we're going to get the solder there, heat it up. Sorry if my head's getting in the way, I can't tell. It's hard for me to watch what I'm doing while I'm trying to do this. Okay, let's heat that up, push that through. There we go. Okay, so we've got those two tabs in. Now we're going to have to get all of these in. This is going to be tricky. Sometimes what you can do is you can like heat this while you're pulling it in. Let's see here, come on. All right, let me take a look from the other side. All right, so the main one that's having issues is this one. Let's try and heat that up and push it down. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. I might have to take it out. It doesn't want to move. Oh, it moved a tiny bit. Okay, I'm probably going to have to add solder to all of them and then do it that way because this doesn't want to go, and then we'll just clean up the excess. So let's add some solder there. Okay. Get solder into the jack area. There we go, got that one. Alright, let's get the next one. Alright, got those two in. The third one. Sorry, oh, my head's getting in the way again. Okay, let's get the last two here. I'm sorry, I know my head's going to be in the way, but I need to see what I'm doing, so it is what it is. There we go. Okay, so we got all 5. I'm gonna heat them all as I continue pushing on it, and hopefully we'll be able to get this to go in. Come on. It's going. I know this isn't how you're supposed to do it, but it's the only way I can get them to stay melted enough to get the pins in. All right, it's working. Let's add a little more. Okay, that should be good. Now let's continue heating while pushing it through. Okay, should be good. I'm going to heat up, oops, I don't even know if you were able to see what I was doing. I'm going to heat up the side ones now. Get those completely soldered into place. Alright, that's good. Get this one soldered in. Sorry, my head's getting in the way. Okay, I'm going to turn this around so it's easier for me to see. Might not be able to record it. It's better that I do a better job than making it so people can see. So I know people are going to say that I'm doing this wrong and stuff, but doing what we can. All right, there we go. Let's check the other side. Flip this over. Right, these pins are looking good. Let's heat these up as well. Make sure they go in properly. I'm going to add a little paste on these other sides. We're going to also add flux here to make sure that they hold on well. Okay. I don't do soldering too often, but all right, let's do this. All right, let's get all of this melted in. Okay, now let's add a little solder to all of these. There we go. Get the solder down there. There we go. Get the solder in there. Okay, last one. Right, let's flip it and do the other side. Now that it's warmed up, it should be able to warm up this side better. I'm gonna have to pull out that excess. There we go. Let's clean this off. All right, and continue heating this. Looks like it's good to go. All right, flip it back over again. It looks like we are good. Pin is going down. I can hear the squeakiness of the pins going into place. All right, should be good to go. We're gonna heat up the side ones here. Just make sure that these are seated properly as well. Get some flux and solder in there. Tiny bit more solder to this. There we go. There we go. Now it's all seated properly. Okay, so now what we're going to have to do is clean off all the old stuff. I'm going to re-tin the soldering iron just so it doesn't get all screwed up. Let me turn the camera back over. Okay. Hopefully that's right. All right, set this aside. put these boxes away. All right, let's clean up the soldering iron. Okay, and just add some solder back to it. Okay, set that aside. And now we're going to clean up the motherboard. So the motherboard now has, oops, let me turn off that. There we go. So the motherboard has the flux all over it now, here, from doing that. So what we're gonna do, take a paper towel, get some isopropyl rubbing alcohol, get it soaked up with the rubbing alcohol, and we're just gonna clean this thing up. All right. All right, clean off all that isopropyl. It also helps to do this with a toothbrush. So let's clean that. All right, and then we'll use the toothbrush, let's scrub it up. Get some more rubbing alcohol. Okay. Get in there. Scrub off that flux. Okay, let's go on the other side. Same thing, clean this all up. Get all the burnt flux off. All right, clean this all off. Out. Right, get some more isopropyl rubbing alcohol. Okay, get on there and clean it up. Okay, clean that off, back to the other side, make sure it's all good. Okay. Alright, there we go. Do a little bit more. Let's get a new piece of paper towel. Clean this up again. Okay. Clean off all that gunk. There we go. Okay, other side, make sure everything looks good. Clean off all the flux. Okay, so now we got all of that cleaned out. Get extra random flux that we got on the table. Okay, make sure everything looks good here. You see a little bit more flux here in between I need to get out. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and reassemble everything. Up a little bit more. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the base of the laptop back here. Okay, let's zoom out. Hopefully I put the camera right, I don't know. Okay, we'll set this aside. So now we're going to go ahead and put all of this back together. So this piece goes this way. We're going to go ahead and put the, oops, let's zoom in. We're going to go ahead and reattach the backlight connector and the trackpad connector. Okay, so backlight connector here. We have to have the motherboard flipped over. That connected in. While you're holding that in place, flip that latch back down. Trackpad, same idea. The connector in. Okay. And then flip the latch back down. There we go. Flip the whole thing over. Getting another call. Alright, we're going to drop this in place. Make sure the antennas and the speaker connectors over here aren't trapped underneath the motherboard. Same thing with this one. Okay. We'll grab this and we will reattach the LCD Lvds connector. Flip the latch back over. There we go. Get this cable, push that back down. Sorry if it's blurry, hopefully you're able to see everything. Okay, so these two we can actually put back. So let's put the lock latch mechanism back over here first. Okay, so make sure get this all lined up. Okay, everything looks lined up. We'll get the two screws here. I'm getting too many calls right now, so let's see. Alright, so we got the two screws right here. We're going to put that back in. These are for the charge port and the lock mechanism. Alright, just like that. Tighten those into place. So these actually do help hold the motherboard down. Okay, see? Alright, so we got that. We're going to go ahead and slide this thing back on top. Again, you want to make sure that you got all the connectors out. Let's go ahead and actually plug this back in as well. So get that, flip that latch up, get that in, slide that over. Oops. Okay, flip that latch over. What is this junk going inside the SSD port? That tape out, okay. Alright, same thing with the keyboard connector. Oops, sorry. Flip that latch up. Get the keyboard connector in. Huh, why is it like crooked a little bit? Come on, go in. This one's a little tricky. There we go. And flip that latch back down. Okay, I'm gonna wait to do the CMOS or the BIOS battery. Alright, let's go ahead and plug back in the speaker connector over here. Sorry, it's the camera's not in the right spot, I think. Go. Okay. Speaker connector here. Get that in. Pinch the two pieces together. Just like this. Alright, there we go. Put the tape back over the top. Let's actually put the wireless card in now. Just like this. Slightly at an angle. Okay, take the screw. You're gonna have to move the tape out of the way again. Oh, I'm getting another call. Give me a second. Alright, I'm gonna have to actually take this call. So I will be back in a bit. Alright, sorry about that. I keep getting phone calls, so we're going to go ahead and continue reassembling this computer. So let's go ahead and put back the SSD here. Okay, so just line that up, put it at that angle like that. Alright, push that in. I squeeze both together, and then we're going to drop that down. Right, hopefully we got all the connectors in. Go, get that screw in, tighten that into place. Right, we're going to put back the hard drive. So hard drive, make sure this tab is up. Slide that connector into place. Alright, just like that. Drop that into place. Make sure all four mounts are lined up. There we go. Alright, and tighten the screws into place. Oops, don't forget to put down the latch once you get the cable in. Okay. We're going to have to test this thing before we completely reassemble everything. Alright, there we go. Okay, so now we are going to reattach the wireless antennas. Let me zoom in and see if I can show this a little bit better. Okay, let's get this tape to put back on top. Alright, so we're going to reattach the gray cable first. It doesn't really matter the order, but I'm going to put the gray cable in first. Get it lined up. You know it's lined up because if you move your finger over top, it doesn't move, and then just push it down. Alright, same thing with the black cable. Get that lined up. Alright, same thing. And snap it into place. There we go. And then we can put this tape back over the top. Okay, let's go ahead and put back the hidden screws that were underneath. Okay, let's go back up here. Alright, so we got the two silver screws here. So one here. Alright, good thing I didn't use too much force and completely rip this thing out. Oops, make sure you pop it in all the way. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to put this one first, and then I'm going to go all the way to this side and put that one, just to make sure everything is aligned. Alright, pull that in tight. We'll put this screw in as well. There we go. Alright, now we can go ahead and put back the rest of the screws. This one here. Alright, this one out here. Okay, then we'll put in the black screws here. Right there, and the other one here. Okay, so I think we got everything reconnected. We only have the CMOS battery and the rest of the stuff. So let's go ahead and we're going to redo the thermal paste. We're going to clean that off. I'm going to get another clean piece of paper towel, use some rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol, and clean off the CPU and GPU dies again. Okay, just clean that off, dry it up, same thing with the heatsink. Alright, clean that off, and dry it up. Okay. Alright, we'll set that aside for now. Now let's get the thermal paste here. Actually, let's go ahead and put in the, oh, I guess no, we'll wait and do those after. Okay, so I probably shouldn't have put all these pieces back because there are hidden screws underneath them. So I think the SSD had one hidden screw underneath it. So I'm actually going to take the SSD back out. Alright. Yep, there was one. Alright, and then also the wireless card has a hidden screw under it, so I'm going to have to take that back out. Sorry, my bad. I'm going to leave the antennas attached so it's easier, but we're just going to take the screw out and then pull the wireless card out, just like this. Alright, so there's one hidden screw under there, so alright. So let's see. So I'm actually gonna put some of these screws back first. So we'll put the one that was hidden underneath the wireless card first. All right, then we can go ahead and plug the wireless card back in. All right, put the wireless card screw back. Just like that. All right, put the tape over it. All right, then there was this screw that was with this foil. We'll put that screw as well. Okay. Then we had this one screw down here, so I'll put that one as well. And then we can put the SSD back in. I'm getting more people texting and calling me right now. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put this. All right. Gonna need someone to answer calls for me while I'm doing these kinds of repair videos. All right, we'll tighten that screw in. Okay, now to do the thermal paste here, clean all that dust off, okay? All right, so the thermal paste, you don't actually put too much. Let me zoom in to show this. Okay, so to do the paste here, you don't put too much. You put like about the size of a grain of rice. Maybe a little bit more, okay? Just like this. And then you kind of spread it so that way when you put the heatsink on top, it'll actually push the paste out. It'll spread it out like this, okay? So just like that. And it spreads it super thin, so you actually don't need a crazy amount. And then this one you need quite a bit more just because it's a much bigger chip. So we'll just go like this. Okay, that's actually too much, but we'll spread it over and it should be good. All right, just like this. So when you push the thing down, it will actually spread the paste all evenly for you. Okay, just like this. And that will prevent any air bubbles, air gaps from getting between the heatsink and the paste. There we go. So here you can see, like that. All right, and like this. So I'll show around. Okay, usually once you lift it up, you don't want to lift it, take it back out, or once you put the heatsink down, you don't want to take it back out because then that will mess up the distribution. It'll make air bubbles, air pockets in it. So the numbering here is a little bit weird. Okay, so they have actually a 1 here, it looks like, and there's also a 5, and then there's a 6 here, but also a 2, and then a 7 here. So I'm guessing this is 1, 2, 3, and then you got 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that's kind of weird that they put it in a circle like that, but we'll go ahead and go with it. All right, so we got everything. Make sure you got everything reconnected. All right, because once we put this down, we're gonna not be able to get it back. So we're gonna put it on an angle like this, slide it underneath here. It's gonna be a little tricky. Just kind of guide it. You kind of have to hold it slightly up above the board. All right, push it in. You can use this to help push it in and slowly drop it into place. There we go. And what I'm gonna do, we're gonna go with screw number 1 here. I like to twist it backwards. You'll hear it click like that, and then you go 1, 2. We'll go to screw number 2. There you go, 1, 2. Screw number 3. Same thing, 1, 2. Screw number 4. Same thing, 1, 2. Screw number 5. 1, 2. Screw number 6. 1, 2. And screw number 7. 1, 2. All right, so now we're gonna go back to screw number 1. 1, 2, 3. Screw number 2. 1, 2, 3. Screw number 3. 1, 2, 3. Number 4. 1, 2, 3. Number 5. 1, 2, 3. Number 6. 1, 2, 3. Number 7. 1, 2, 3. And then we're gonna go make sure it's completely tightened. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right. Make sure these are all pressed down. You don't want to push too hard though. You don't want to damage the motherboard. All right. We'll grab this connector for the fan. line it up, and then press on the plastic sides around it to clip it back in. Same thing with this fan. You pinch both together just like that. Alright, let's go ahead and put back all the fans, or the motherboard screws. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so got this one screw here. Hopefully you were able to keep them all in order. Alright, second one here. Alright, and the one that was hidden underneath the warranty sticker here. I think I dropped the warranty sticker, so that's gone. Alright, and one up here, and then the last fan screw here. There we go. So now we got all of these reconnected. Oh, there's the warranty sticker, so we still got that. If we want, we can try and put it back in. Oops, it just tore, so I don't know. I mean, it's all torn anyways, but you can put it back in the same place it was before. It's all folding itself over. Okay, I'm gonna use like a little needle or something to help guide this. Not that it matters, because they'll know already that it was opened. Oops, it just flipped itself over. There we go. Okay. And we'll just put these pieces back in there. No, that's not going to work. Well, you can skip over this part because this isn't necessary. I'm just doing it just because I can. Okay, well, whatever. Close enough. Alright, there we go. Okay, so we got all of that back in. Now we are going to put back the battery. Alright. So we're going to reconnect the battery connector here. Just squeeze that in, pinch the two together, get this all lined up. You do have to push the battery forward a little bit. Drop it into place. Here we go. Let's go ahead and put the screws back for the battery. Oops, sorry. I did have to push the battery slightly up to get it to clear the speaker. Alright, let me get those in. Don't forget the CMOS or the BIOS battery connector down here. Probably should have put that before I put the battery. But, there we go. Get that lined up. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. Go. Line that up and pinch it together. Alright, let's get the rest of the battery screws in. There we go. Oops. Alright, so we got all of that. Let's go ahead and get this plastic piece lined back up. Just line up the clips. Right, push it back into place. There we go. Get that plastic back down. Now we're going to plug this in and see if the charge port lights up. So if it lights up, we did a good thing and it's fixed. So let's see here. So before their charger wasn't lighting up, my charger worked, and their charger now is also working. Before their charger wouldn't work at all. So there we go, it's lighting up, we're good. The the laptop is turning itself back on. So let's actually put the cover on. Alright, we're gonna slide this piece up. You have to do it slightly at an angle. Let me zoom out a little. So do this slightly at an angle, and then drop this in, and you can go ahead and clip everything back in. Alright, let's flip this over, make sure it's on, because if it's not on, we are going to have to most likely reseat the RAM. Oh, it's turning itself on, so we're good. So there you go, it's on. I think the date and time is screwed up. Actually, that might be right. May 16, 4:36, what time is it? nope, it's way off. So I'm gonna have to fix the date and time, but it looks like it's good. The battery icon is showing charging now, so we're good with that. I am going to now shut it down. Actually, it's always a good idea to restart it one time instead of doing a shutdown, because my Windows 10, it has this fast startup mode, and if you do a shutdown, it doesn't act as a complete reboot. So we're gonna restart. So we already tested the trackpad works, the keyboard should work, but yeah. So we're gonna put back the rest of the screws. Don't forget to snap all these clips back on. Make sure to turn off the computer before you do that, because the hard drive, the spinning hard drive might be running, and you don't want to risk damaging the hard drive while it's spinning. You don't want that sudden like shock. Okay, so anyways, let's wait for this to completely shut off. All right, actually I'll pause the video and I'll be back. All right, so it turned off. We're gonna put the cover on. I think I already did that, but oh, there's still some dust here. Actually, let me clean this off a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now it's all gone. Again, put the cover back on, slightly at an angle like this. All right, clip everything back down. I'm going to go ahead, open it up, and then clip these back down. Be careful not to squeeze the trackpad itself. You don't want to push that into the computer. All right, there we go. Everything looks good. Turn it on one more time. Looks good. So now we're just going to put back these screws. You do want to set the date and time correctly again. You don't want to leave it screwed up. All right, but it looks good. So I'm going to wait till this finishes starting up. Plug it in again just to make sure everything is good to go. All right, let's plug this in back here. Red light's on, good sign. Right, shows it's charging. I'm gonna cover the password. Oops, what happened? Where's the enter key here? Okay, so let's see here, and it's showing it's charging. Okay, 29% plugged in. All right, so I'm gonna leave it plugged in, and we'll see. Hopefully it's gonna be going up. Okay, it says 1 hour and 47 minutes until fully charged, so that's what I want to see. All right, let's close it up, put the screws back in. All right, I don't really like this what do you call this charge port design. I see it break a lot, so yeah. Anyways, let's put back all the screws. 2 screws up here. All right, 4 screws after that. Cool. Wow, that screw's long. Okay, this one. This one. Alright, then the 3 screws. Short one here. Long screw in the center. Another short screw on the side. Alright, and then we got the last 4 short screws here. Just like this. Okay, so it was at 29%, so we want to check and make sure it's not going to change. Right, we want to also check, make sure that moving this around won't affect it. So the red light is on. Moving it around, it's staying on. That's good. You don't want to move it too much and then end up breaking it again, but it looks like when we move it around, it's not having any issues. Connection is good. Let's open it up. Wake this thing back up. All right, let's check the battery charge level, and it's at 30%, so we are good. All right, let's see if is there a bigger menu so I can just show it, or guess I'll just cover some stuff here and try and show the corner. There we go, 30%. Oh, now it's 31%. All right, so we should be good to go. So anyways, hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can also work on their devices. I know this solder job wasn't like very nice. It wasn't like very good professional, but it worked, it fixed it, everything's good. So yeah, anyways, hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please, again, like, subscribe, I already said that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.